Georgia owes President Donald J. Trump an apology. President Trump has been indicted by Fulton County. May I remind you that Fulton County has been found to be in violation of election law not once for the hand audit, but twice for the machine count. And now we can prove that they had intentional human intervention, which is the predicate for election fraud. You all know our case is SEB 2023, thank you, -25. In that case, you know that it involved 17,852 votes counted without ballot images. You also know that for the first machine count, 20,713 ballots were counted with what I like to call receipts. I guess the fancy word is tabulator tapes. And I always like to say you can't get out of Walmart these days without showing your receipt, but for some reason you can count 20,000 votes without a receipt. The last part of this complaint perhaps is the most concerning because we've uncovered some recent information that makes it so. In addition to proving that 3,930 ballots were scanned and counted. I want to say that again, and counted. And I sure hope that Miss Charlene McGowan is listening. Miss McGowan, on May 7th, you and your team got up before the board and said, yeah, I think Mr. Rossi's right. These ballots were scanned twice, but we're not sure if they were counted twice. That is a lie. And we know that because the data that shows they're counted twice is on the cast vote records, and that is available to the Secretary of State. Other experts know that those ballots were counted twice. Media sources know, I saw Mr. Nisi from the AJC just walk up here, and not to get him in trouble, but he recently reported he thinks they were counted twice also. And that's from the AJC. Sorry, Mark, if I'm going too far, just say, stop, Joe, you're going to get me in trouble. Okay, so they were counted twice for the second machine count. We know with certainty that this duplication of ballots was not, I want to repeat, was not an administrative error. And I'm going to demonstrate to you how we know that shortly. Rather, the duplication process was due to intentional human intervention. And I'm not a lawyer, but when I ran this by a few lawyers, they told me this is the phrase. Intentional human intervention is the predicate for election, I'm going to use the F word, fraud. Okay, you're going to hear me say that several times. The heart of this presentation. I said that the ballots were tabulated twice, counted twice, and it was not done accidentally. This slide shows that a ballot on the right over here was scanned and counted, creates a file. Some of the experts in the room, like Garland, know this, but if it's scanned again, it creates another file, which means it is counted twice. So how did this happen? This is a very complicated slide that has taken months for technical experts to develop and explain. It's also very difficult to explain still. But it basically shows that ballots were scanned on one day, and then they were randomly picked, these batches of ballots, and created new batches and scanned a second day on a different tabulator. So you probably can't understand this slide. So I'm going to show you how it was done very crudely, okay? All right. So on that first chair, you have a stack of ballots. You see them over there? Again, my props are not professional. I'm just doing what I can to get the message out. On the second chair, you have a second stack of ballots that were scanned, let's say December 2nd, Wednesday, when the midnight deadline was for doing the election recount. On the third chair, you have a third stack of ballots that were scanned on Wednesday. Now, someone or some group, I don't know who, but this is not accidental what they did. They went to one stack of ballots, randomly grabbed a few stacks from that, no order. I got a random group, okay? Some of them I flipped around so that they count backwards this time. Then they went to another stack of ballots that were already scanned. You notice I'm not necessarily picking them from the top, right? I'm just grabbing randomly. And one more time, I'll do it for example. They went to another stack. And then, the next day, they came back with that randomly selected stack, and guess what they did? That last chair over there is a tabulator. They ran them through on a second day through a different tabulator. And they did that for 3,930 ballots. Who in the room thinks that's accidental? Raise your hand. I don't think so. I'm going to skip that part. All right, I'm going to close with how I started this little talk here. I'm going to read it one more time if you don't mind. It says, in addition to proving that 3,930 ballots were scanned and counted 2 times for the second machine count, which was the certified count, we now know with certainty that this duplication of ballots was not a mere administrative error. Rather, the duplication process was due to intentional human intervention. And I said, the lawyers tell me that is the predicate for election fraud. And now, in closing, I remind you about Mr. Raffensperger's ex-post of August 1st. If you have the data, bring it to him. Mr. Secretary, we're bringing the data to you, and we are counting on you to do the right thing and investigate independently. Independently is critical. SEB 2023-25. Thank you.